And good morning to everybody. Um, uh, Bruce Cockburn is getting a lot of playing time with the Heart to Heart community. I really love his music. The one song we played that you didn't hear before the one that stopped early was from Bruce Cockburn. And I would paraphrase it as when the spirit walks in the room, every living thing is a thread on the loom in the great tapestry of life. So if you're new to Heart, you're welcome here. We have a very simple format here. It's a three-part presentation. First part is a speaking meditation that I'll be doing. That will lead us into a silent meditation. And then after that, we'll continue in the silence. And then if you feel moved to make a comment or a remark, just unmute yourself and say what you have to say, and please be respectful of others. So my name is John from Louisville. I'm filling in for Joe this week again. Last month, I had the opportunity to talk about what I feel is the need for the church, in particular the Western church, to rediscover the ancient book of nature. And I related my personal experience doing a vision quest 23 years ago. If you missed that, you can go on Joe's website, the Loose Leaf Hollow website, and look at the Heart to Heart archives, and you can find it there and look at it. But I asked Joe if I could have another bite at the apple, because I wanted to talk about practices that we can all do that will help us nurture and grow our connection with nature. I think that's really important for us to be able to get a full, more complete understanding of divinity. So I want to start with a couple of quotes just to get us going in the right direction. The first quote I want to share with you is from none other than Albert Einstein. And he said, you can live as if nothing is a miracle, or you can live as if everything is a miracle. And I couple that with another quote from Lucy Jones out of Emergence magazine that says, we see the world as sacred by radical noticing, by looking for awe in all of life. So if you kind of put those two together, the path to rediscovery of the book of nature has to do with seeing things more as miracle, and in that, and finding miracles in that radical noticing of the awe that there is in all of life. So today, what I want to do is offer up 9 ideas for practices that you can do. And I would like to say daily practices, but that's probably not practical. Let's just say regular practices. As we've all heard Joe say over and over again, pray as you can, not pray as you can't. The same applies to this. You do as you can and not as you can't. There's probably, if we got the Heart to Heart community together, we could come up with 99 different practices instead of just 9. But these are just 9 ideas I'm going to throw out there. And what I would suggest you do is just jot them down as I go through them. I put little 3-word names on each one of them. And then afterwards, if something resonates with you, try it for 30 days and see what happens. So, idea number 1, plant a seed, care for it, and love it into existence. Now, this can be as simple as some potting soil in a Dixie cup, or as fancy as you want to get with an elaborate vegetable garden or a flower garden. For me, this year, my daughter and her husband decided to start a separate side business doing real estate. And they sent out to everybody that they knew little packages of marigold seeds. And they were late sending them out. I didn't get them until mid-June, I think it was. And I had already planted a whiskey barrel in my backyard with some colorful vinca plants. So I took these marigold seeds out there and I just poked my finger and made a circle with 6 holes in amongst the vinca plants. And I dropped a marigold seed down in each one of them and covered them up. And to be honest, I didn't think they would grow. Well, today they're 4 feet high in my backyard. I've never seen marigolds that big. So nature is amazing. In the past, I've also tried planting a 3 Sisters garden, which is a Native American tradition where you combine corn, beans, and squash. Corn is this is a Native American tradition. Corn is the elder sister that provides support for the beans as the bean vines grow up the corn stalk. And the beans, they put excess nitrogen into the soil that fertilize both the corn and the squash. And the squash vines provide shade for the roots of both the corn and the beans. So they work in a synergistic pattern together. And I've done this twice in the past, and it's really kind of fun to watch it happen. Idea number 2. This one I have not tried, but I'm going to try it this fall. It's called Sit with a Tree. And so the whole idea here is to take your meditation practice outside, in your backyard or in a park that's near you. Find a tree that seems agreeable and sit with it. There's an old myth that every tree has 12 secret names that describes itself. So when you're sitting with it, don't try to tell the tree its name, like you are oak or you are a maple, but let the tree reveal its 12 secret names to you. And this might take some time, sitting with the tree, but I can't wait to try it this fall. Idea number 3, eat a peach. I think a lot of you know my wife took a fall about 3 months ago and broke both of her arms. So I've been in caregiver mode for the past 3 months. And so I'm doing all the cooking and all of the dishwashing and grocery shopping. And I like cooking. I do most of the cooking anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. And I can tolerate dishwashing, but I hate going to the grocery. So I thought, well, okay, maybe I can make this fun and turn it into a practice. So every time I go to the grocery, I head straight for the produce section and I try to find a fruit or a vegetable that I've either never had before or I haven't had in a long time. And I get one and take it home. And when I get some time, I'll sit with it and uh, and really try to engage all my senses in eating it. Take time to look at the shape and the color and the texture. Is it fuzzy like a peach or smooth like an apple, or is it prickly like a pineapple? What does it taste like? Is it sweet or is it tart? Is it bitter? And I particularly like looking at seed patterns. For example, did you know if you take an apple and cut it in half vertically, the seeds are arranged in a perfect pentagram? And there's other fruit that has seeds that are arranged in hexagonal formations, and others are in spirals. And some seeds, most seeds and fruits are on the inside, but some fruits have their seeds on the outside, like strawberries, for example. So this is an exercise in mindful eating or mindfulness eating. Idea number 4, fall in love. Not necessarily with another person, but with another species. A dog, a cat, a rabbit, or a turtle. Me, I'm a dog person. I have never not had a dog since I was 5 years old. So for the last, 72 years, I've had a dog. And for me, there is no better way to learn the true meaning of unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness. And along the way, you also learn a lot about loss and grief. But in my opinion, the joy and happiness that you get from this kind of a relationship is infinitely greater than the downside. Idea number 5, watch the stars. If you live far enough away from light pollution from a city, you can go out at night and stargaze. Back in the 1970s, during the Vietnam era, I was a navigator in the Air Force on an air refueling tanker. And back then, most planes, very few planes had any form of computer on board. And of course, GPS didn't exist. And the plane that I flew, if we were flying at night over the ocean, the only way you could find where you were going is by the stars. So part of our training at nav school was to learn. We had to learn about 50 different stars and their locations and the seasons of the year that they were visible. About a dozen for each season of the year. And maybe half of that has stuck with me. and they've become old friends. So I can go out in pretty much any season of the year at night and find an old friend in the sky. And if you're so inclined, these days, you can bring up Amazon on your phone and order a telescope for about $200 that's capable of seeing the craters of the moon, Saturn's rings, and the moons of Jupiter. If you'd like to get into that. Idea number 6 is something I call Visio Divina. We know what Lectio Divina is, sacred reading. Visio Divina is sacred seeing. Mainly through art and photography. I'm not much of an artist myself, but I do love photography. But I got tired of carrying around all the equipment, camera bodies and lenses and all that kind of stuff that it took to make really good quality photographs. But you don't have to do that anymore because everybody has one of these, which you can't see it with my screensaver, but yeah. Just our iPhones have a pretty good camera in them, like there is. There's a guy that goes to my parish. His name is Dan Dry. D-R-Y is how you spell his last name. But he's a Pulitzer Prize winning photographer. All the iconic photographs you see of Muhammad Ali and Churchill Downs on Derby Day, those still photographs are taken by Dan. And during COVID, he got the idea of sending out what he calls found art. Every day, a photo he takes on his iPhone. And it's and he's brilliant the way he can see the sacred in ordinary things. So he inspired me to do the same sort of thing. So I look for opportunities to take photographs of things that contain the sacred, and I'll send them out. I don't do it every day, but maybe once or twice or 3 times a week. I'll take a picture and send it to a select friend or 2. Or if I really like it, I may post it on Facebook. Jill, remember I sent you that photograph of the feather cloud because I know how you like feathers. Anyway, he really inspired me to start using photography as a practice to connect with nature. Oh, I was going to say, if you're interested, you can, if you're on Facebook, you can search for Dan Dry Photos, and either follow him or just click one of his, or like one of his photos, and then you'll start getting his daily found art. Really good stuff. Okay, idea number 7 is I call there's an app for that. We live in a world now that we have some great technology, And we can take advantage of that to help reconnect with nature. For example, we talked about stars a few minutes ago. There's an app called Star Guide, that you can go outside at night, turn on the app, and point your phone to any part of the sky, and it will show you all the constellations that are there, the names of the stars, the names of the planets, and even the names of galaxies. And it's all right there on your phone. Another one I really like is called Birdsong Gold. If you hear a bird that you don't recognize, you can open that app. It will record it live and ID what kind of bird it is right on the spot. A third one that I really like is called Picture This. You can take a picture of any flower, bush, tree, any kind of plant, and it will give you a very accurate ID of any tree or plant. Plus, it also will diagnose if it's a house plant or something in your yard. It will diagnose any kind of health issues that it'll have and recommend treatments. Great stuff is out there. Idea number 8, if you can't get outside for some reason, you can always read a book and imagine being there. And there are some really great nature writers that are out there now. The best new author I've found it is an Irish guy by the name of Dara McAnulty. And he has a book called Diary of a Young Naturalist. Now, I'm going to read you the first paragraph of his latest book, and then I'll explain why I want to read it to you in a second. But here's the opening paragraph to his book. In the darkness, my dreams are interrupted. I'm somewhere between swimming to the surface and coming up for air when the flute catches my consciousness. The bedroom walls disappear. The space between my bed and the garden narrows, becomes one. I rise without moving, pinned by the heaviness of sleep. The notes keep falling on my chest. Now I can see the blackbird in my mind, its testosterone arrows flying as territorial sonatas spread across the dawn. Engrossed in this symphony, awake and thinking, the whirling of my brain begins. Beautiful stuff. The really remarkable thing about this is this is a 13-year-old kid writing this, and he has autism, and it's not just him, but his mother has autism, his sister has autism, and he has a brother that has autism. And he talks a lot about dealing with his autism in this book. So if you know somebody out there that is dealing with autistic kids, this is a book I think that would give them a lot of hope about what can happen with kids that have autism. Anyway, it's a brilliant book. Another book that I actually listened to on audio recently is called The Songs of Trees by David Haskell. I'll send these to Joe so he can send them out to everybody so you don't have to write them down. The, the ultimate nature poet is probably Mary Oliver. Everybody knows her. But what you may not know is there's a Facebook book group called Wild and Precious that you can join. And then you'll get a Mary Oliver poem via Facebook every day. Another classic is Sand County Almanac by Aldo Leopold. That was published 75 years ago, but it's as true today as it was then. And there's a new version of it out now on audiobook where Barbara Kingsolver does an introduction to it. It's a fantastic book. Another favorite author of mine is Terry Tempest Williams. She's a Mormon that lives in Utah. And she has a beautiful way of weaving 2 or 3 different storylines together at once. And her probably her most prominent book is called Refuge. I would highly recommend that to everybody. As far as writers here in Kentucky, Wendell Berry lives here in Kentucky. He's a very well-known nature writer. His best-known work is the Peace of Wild Things. Another one of my favorites is Robin Wall Kimmerer. She's a Native American and also a scientist. And her book that I love is Braiding Sweetgrass. It's an excellent book. And there's some great periodicals out there too, like Orion magazine that explores the intersection of nature and spirituality, and also Emergence, which is either available in print or you can listen to stories from it on podcast or Spotify. So the last idea, and I saved this for last because it's the practice that I use now, is that I've chosen for my daily practice. It's called draw a circle. So if you draw a 1 mile or maybe a 2 mile circle around the place where you live, see that if they're within that circle, if there's maybe a park or a neighborhood or a green belt or something that you can become a part of and visit regularly, and let that space become your personal kingdom or queendom. Get to know what grows there, what kind of trees are there, what kind of bushes, what kind of flowers, what kind of critters do you see, the birds, and how things change during the seasons. So for me, a mile from my house is a small 500-acre park. That's it you see in the background behind me. And the park surrounds a 40-acre lake. So there's a road that goes around the lake that's about 2 miles in a loop, and another 4 or 5 miles of off-road trails through the woods. Jill, would you put up the picture of Newton? Okay, this is my walking partner. Um, he's a golden retriever that identifies as a human. His name is Newton because he's smart like Sir Isaac and sweet like a fig Newton. Together, Newton and I have circumambulated this lake 612 days in a row in every imaginable kind of weather: oppressive heat and humidity, thunderstorms, sleet, snow, ice. Last December, a 30, a negative 30-degree wind chill factor. This spring, a 70-mile-an-hour wind gust that blew a porta potty across the road right in front of us. And now we recognize most of the trees in the park by the shape of leaves and the contour of bark. In winter, we long for the sticky, sweet smell of wild white pear blossoms in spring, along with redbud and dogwood and the honeysuckle vines in summer. We listen for the familiar calls of mourning doves, cardinal, red-winged blackbird, robin, blue jay, and the occasional mockingbird. We watch the patterns of Canadian geese and mallard ducks as they mimic each other's V-shaped formations in air and on water. Last year, there was even a lone Muscovy duck, so ugly that they're cute, most likely dumped by a disillusioned pet owner. She eventually paired up with a white pekin duck, likely also dumped, and they became inseparable. And we named them Maggie and Pekin. They migrated last year, but did not return. In spring, we anticipate the emergence of wildflowers: Queen Anne's lace, thistle, orange milkweed, ironweed, yellow primrose, coreopus, that attract monarch, tiger, swallowtail, zebra, red spotted purple butterflies. In off-road, we have discovered hidden places where deer and fawn bed down for the night, an abundance of blackberry bushes and dead ash trees that have become turkey vulture condos, and always, always, always the shimmering of light on the lake.